Friends, hello. My name is Brian Henry. I head up the legal sector here at HSO in the UK. And welcome to what is the third in a series of webinars where we are showcasing the Microsoft Business Apps platform in conjunction with our Legal 360 IP and demonstrating how the value that IP is adding for legal companies around the world. Slide. Just before I go through the agenda, I'd like to welcome John Butler, who's going to be demonstrating the actual software today. John is a legal consultant here at HSO. He's been working in the legal industry for 15 years. Previously, the product manager for Interaction for Ascends, and then latterly went on to Thomson Reuters, but has been working with Legal 360 for the last 5 years. So thank you for joining me today, John. The agenda. So as I said a moment ago, we've got a packed agenda for you. I'm going to kick off by myself, just giving a quick overview of HSO for those of you that haven't met us before. So that will take a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to touch on why law firms around the world are investing in the BizApps platform, Microsoft BizApps platform, and our Legal 360 IP, and some of the trends and challenges that we're seeing in the legal sector. And then I'm going to hand over to Jonathan. As I said, this is a series of events, webinars, which we're hosting. And that's because if we were to show you the full depth and breadth of our solution, and that could take a good couple of hours. So we're trying to pick a few key processes which really resonate for each event. And today, Jonathan will be talking about white space, how you can pinpoint white space within your clients and accounts. Then he'll be showcasing the enterprise relationship intelligence functionality that we have in Legal 360 to uncover and unlock those key relationships and to get warm introductions into your account base. Then John will be talking about how you can see and check the health of your clients as well with strategic outreach. And lastly, but certainly not least, John will be demonstrating some of our document assembly tools, which can help build client-ready proposals, business development plans, RFP responses. So they're the key 4 areas which we're going to focus on in today's session. Very quickly, who are HSO and why are we qualified to be on this call talking to you today? Well, we're 2 things. First of all, we're a Microsoft Global Systems Integrator, about $500 million in revenue, privately owned, backed by the Carlyle Group. We're a Global Systems Integrator with a difference. So 2 key differences. The first one is that we only build solutions on the Microsoft estate, and that gives us, we integrate to other solutions such as Aderant, Elite, where we have connectors, same with Future and Concept for marketing, but our solutions are 100% Microsoft, and that gives us a really deep trust both with your Microsoft account teams in the UK, but just as importantly, the product teams back in Redmond. So we know where the product is going, D365 and the Power Platform, and Copilot, for example, and we're working with the product teams. We know what's coming in 2 or 3 releases time, so we bring that experience to the table for you. The second key reason why we're growing so rapidly and being so successful in the market, in my opinion, is that we're an ISV. So for 15 years, we've been working with Microsoft, looking at the D365 platform and saying, where are the gaps for a law firm? So when it comes to marketing, business development, case and matter experience, enterprise relationships, tracking your alumni network, referrals, how can we enhance the product out of the box for you? And instead of making it a 65% fit out the box from the core Microsoft product, how can we get that to an 85% fit for a legal firm? And therefore, we only have to add that extra layer on top, which makes it 100% fit for you. So we built our own IP called Legal 360, and I'll talk a little bit about that IP in a second. So there are 2 core reasons why I believe we're being so successful in the marketplace. Over 100,000 law firm users of Legal 360 globally for you guys to speak to in terms of referenceability. I won't be touching on it today, but just to mention, a growing area for us is AI and Copilot standalone projects within firms. So firms like Eversheds, for example, in the UK, we have a team of people in there delivering AI user cases, which really is looking how can we make fee earners more efficient and spend less fee earner times, so doing more with less. A future webinar will be focusing on those user cases, but today we're talking about CRM and we're talking about Legal 360. Why are we having such momentum in the marketplace? So first of all, we've been building Microsoft solutions since 2005, 19 years experience with this platform. Currently delivering the 8th generation or iteration of Legal 360. Importantly, this isn't a product that we bought and rebranded. We built it from the ground up, so we totally understand it. We've actually brought in lots of people from legal firms, people that used to be in business development and marketing. So we understand your core processes, and we can bring that to bear and our experience to bear in our conversations with you. The momentum that we're having in 2005 is remarkable. 8 new client implementations so far this year that we've won that we're implementing across the US, UK, Netherlands, Australia, and New Zealand. We've got free interaction replace, big subject at the moment, replacing interaction. We're talking to quite a few of you on this call actually about that. We have lots of tools to make that migration easy, but we've got free large global interaction replace projects in flight at the moment. Low code and no code solutions. So I'll talk to you about that on a future slide, but you guys have invested quite heavily in the Microsoft Power Platform. And if you want to deliver any of the core processes which John's going to talk to today standalone, then we can do that using the Power Platform. I've got one slide to demonstrate that in a second. And the last point, but certainly not least, 3 years ago, we made a commitment to Charles Lama, our sponsor at Microsoft, who heads up the Microsoft BizApps practice globally, that we would have all our IP infused with Microsoft Copilot and AI within 2 years. We achieved that in 18 months. Everything that you see today and everything that we should bring to the table and show you in future sessions has Copilot embedded in it. Copilot has certainly made my life a lot easier and more efficient, and I'm sure it's doing the same for you guys at the moment. So and on a future session, we might just one of the future sessions, we might just focus on those Copilot, that Copilot functionality. So what are we hearing from law firms when we're going to see them at the moment? What are the top challenges that we're hearing from CIOs and other senior people within law firms? First thing that we're hearing is limited flexibility and over complex solutions, leading to bad user adoption. I've lost count of the amount of times that I've gone into law firms over the last year, and the marketing director or the business development director saying to me, "Look, it's great. We're using interaction in marketing, but the fee earners don't use it." And that's something that that we are really hyper focused on, and we know that the way to get the fee earners to use it is to automate what they do and actually get the system to do a lot of the work for them. John will bring some of that to life today in terms of the relationships piece. We're hearing that not you guys, I'm sure your law firms are different. We're hearing that law firms have got fragmented firm-wide data. So how do we bring that data into one place? How do we get a 360 view of our client across all systems? We have our own integration engine called Sync 360, and on a future session we'll be focusing on that. And probably the most chanted reason that we're hearing from senior people within law firms is we've got missing data, and how do we keep our data up to date and refreshed? And again, with the relationships and our integration engine, we can not only migrate your data over the last year, going back through the fee earners' diaries, but also we have ways of keeping that data constantly updated. So if one of your customers leaves the organization, or you haven't heard from a customer for a certain period of time, you can get alerts. So there's some of the challenges that we're hearing from law firms that we think our solution, Legal 360, addresses. I'm not going to steal John's thunder, probably overrunning on time anyway. But here's just a bit of a view of the different areas of functionality within Legal 360 and the Microsoft CE platform. So getting a 360 view of your clients and the companies, how do we get that in one view? Through the Microsoft Productivity Suite. So a lot of the processes that we're going to show you today are all delivered through Teams and Outlook, which is really important because that's where most people spend their time. So that integration and that surfacing everything that we do through Teams and Outlook is really important to us, and you'll see that come to life today. Contacts and relationships, I've touched on it, so we can go back through your fee earners' diaries. We can look at their emails in, their emails out, their meetings. Teams is coming online next month, so we'll be able to look at the Teams interactions with the fee earners and the clients. We can harvest that data, bring it back into a nice, easy, intuitive, easy to use UI, and bring all that intelligence back into business development and marketing. So this client, this fee earner's got which fee earners have got the best relationship with this client, and where were the latest touch points? And we've got that rich data that we can bring back into Microsoft CE. Client and industry teams, how do we separate them? How do we build a business development plans and track activities? Opportunities, down the bottom, John's going to show you some of our document generation tools today. So how do we build pitches? How do we have templates for pitches and proposals? Conflicts of interest is down there. It's not a core part of Legal 360, but for large law firms at the moment, including CMS globally, we're doing the conflicts now with D365, something to talk about to some of you guys. Matter intelligence, how do I find, I'm building a business development plan. How do I find which fee earners have got the best experience in this particular industry or specialism? Experience management touches on that as well. And then finally, up the top, we have lots of marketing functionality. So the reality is we do all the strategic planning for marketing campaigns and physical events in D365 and Legal 360. The reality is a lot of our customers still use Future and Concept for that end execution. We've built connectors into both of those products. But we do have customers now, or we'd be delighted to talk to you about them, that are using D365 marketing for that end execution. So that is the full depth and breadth of the Legal 360 platform. I touched on this earlier. This is something that we're calling the Legal Dataverse. We know that a lot of law firms in the UK have invested into the Power Platform. If you're not ready for an enterprise-wide CRM system, and you want to do it by stealth, and you just want to pick off one or two processes at a time, then we can accommodate you. So we're calling this the Legal Dataverse. These are all accelerators. If you just want to do client relationship, if you just want to track your Lumini network, if you just want to look at your expenses, then we can deliver them. We could deliver them on a point-by-point basis using the Power Platform. So another conversation that we can have with you. And finally, you will not be short for referenceability. So you can see on the screen, I mentioned we got 120 law firms that we've dealt with and put Legal 360 in for. At the large end of the scale, you've got people like CMS. CMS, we're live for legal, tax, and audit in 16 countries around the world, over 5,000 users. So we've got right at the top end of the scale. Most of our firms are medium-sized organizations, maybe between 1 and 200 fee earners. But when it comes around to referenceability, when you want to talk to someone in marketing or business development or some fee earners from another firm to see how this product has added value for them, you will not be short of those conversations, and we'll be delighted to set them up for you. We're also looking at starting a user group in the UK so people can share experiences as well. And I'm sure I'll be announcing that on one of our later webinars. Okay, so Jonathan, at this juncture, I'm going to hand over to you and we're going to look at some software.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody, for joining this session. I'll just share my screen. What I'm really going to do in looking at cross-sell and opportunity to grow clients and leverage relationships is to focus on simplicity. I think lots of systems are kind of over-engineered, too much clutter, too much data and so forth. And that's what really limits usage. So let's just keep this really simple that any fee earner partner could use, although invariably it's probably going to be business development. So this is pretty much the standard sort of Microsoft Dynamics screen. If nobody's seen it, with the Legal 360 overlay on it. And of course, we overlay on top of standard companies and contact records with the fields that you need for capturing your legal clients, with additional functions like events, clients, matters, experience, and so forth. So that's the value that we add. We don't need to use that whole screen at the moment, so we can increase some more screen space. And at the top here, we always have a contextual menu, just like any other Microsoft application. And here we're looking at a dashboard, and we're looking at the practice leader or managing partner dashboard. This is giving an aerial view, a global view of the entire business, or a practice level or an office level. So here we're looking at key clients. We're able to look at the data which has come from our Elite and Aderant integrations. So we have packaged integrations to Elite and Aderant, and that gives us a vital foundation of client intelligence within CRM. Client intelligence you can use for analysis, insight and planning, and client intelligence you can use for actually building lists. Give me contacts where the client has got matters for employment over a certain amount of fees, or give me clients where fees have declined over the year. So we can use that data, that vital client intelligence, financial data, for our targeting of our customers. So as I was started to say, what we're looking at here, these first two charts, one is client fee performance, fee health, this year versus last year on a rolling 12 basis. And we can have any number of different sort of financial sort of periods and dimensions. So obviously it's very easy then to understand which clients are flying this year and where they are underperforming, and then investigate that. So those are the fees rolling up from the matters within the practice management system. And over in this chart, our white space one, which we're going to focus on a little more, we're looking at practice coverage, the value of matters for each practice against our key clients. So here, this chart allows us to show our practices at the top. And if I just hover over any practice, it allows me to see where we've got coverage with clients and where we don't. Very simple to get that immediate illumination. The functionality of standard Dynamics allows us to expand those charts, so it's a little easier on the eye, you know. And if, for example, if I was the partner for employment or the lead BD person for employment, and we're planning, you know, what do we need to do for our next year or next quarter of activities? Where are the cross-sell opportunities? Where is the white space? I can very easily see immediately we have one outstanding large client, Arthur J. Gallagher, there, where we are doing no employment work at all. So that's very easy to see. I can actually drill down and look at the data beneath, but we're not going to get too wrapped up in data, although we'll look at the records behind that. And again, I can drill into a chart and actually segment and get a view of particular matters or any other data slice that I might wish for. So here we've clicked on and we're looking at corporate work for our client 70 million jobs. I could also be looking at over here, Arthur H. Gallagher, litigation matters. So very easy to access the data. So that's looking at cross-sell from a white space, from a practice point of view. I can choose the charts I want from here, and we might want to understand what's happening from an office point of view, and which are our most productive offices against that segment of matters data. And I can also look at that in terms of white space by office, for example. So where have we got London coverage across our key clients? That shows us where London is selling into on those global clients, or where it could be a regional office in the UK, for example, Bristol. How is Bristol performing against other offices, and where is Bristol not represented, not providing services to a key client? Now, obviously, we're working with demo data here, which is never perfect, but I can also, of course, take a segment view of, for example, employment matters, and then I can see for the employment practice where we've got coverage by office. So before we were looking at all matters for a tier of customers, clients rather, and here we can drill down and look at the employment data specifically. We can see here, these are the matter records, and we can see these are all for the employment practice, and we can understand our practice coverage and where we've got gaps. And we can see, for example, Microsoft, we're doing nothing for them in London for employment. Now, just for the sake of the sort of demonstration, I'm now going to be looking at the HSBC record to look at how we can actually identify relationship owners and get access then to follow up on white space opportunity that we've identified. So if I click on the record here, and that was a matter record, I can go straight into HSBC's record. And the key information I see immediately in the middle of that record, let me just shrink the screen down a little bit. That's me waiting in the lobby. Center stage in that record, we have our relationships information. So we have our contacts here and all the contacts, and we have an overall relationship score that we have with HSBC. And we create relationship scores by counting the number of emails received in and sent out and meetings from Outlook. And those have different weightings. And obviously, a meeting is worth far more value than an email, and an email received from a client, we've weighted higher than an email that's been sent to a client. So that gives our overall scoring metric visualization. If we go back to here to look at the contacts we've got those contacts there with their job titles. I can also access contacts over here if I want to peruse them more. But luckily I've tagged Stuart just for the purpose of the demo. But we've got Stuart Levy, who's the Senior Vice President of Risk and so forth. Looks like one of the most senior people in our relationships. And we've got a number here, 7. We've got numbers going down that side. And these numbers relate to the number of colleagues that have a relationship with Stuart through Outlook activity. And we can see here a number against those colleagues, and that being their relationship score. So if I just click on Veronica and the 374, we can see how Veronica's relationship with Stuart is built up. And she has a good representation of meetings, Outlook meetings. You'll have noticed probably at the bottom, we've got phone calls and BD actions. These are actually activities which are created in CRM. So for example, our BD actions is really a task, and phone calls is if I make a phone call, I might note that as another activity. We are integrating Teams, and we'll have Teams calls included as one of the relationship strength contributors later this year. So Teams is coming. So as I said, so we can click on that 374 and we can see how that relationship's made up. We might want to consider talking to Benny or Michael, and again we can see how those relationships are made up, and Benny's is more based around email exchange and fewer meetings. The other very useful function that we have in Legal 360 is the concept of client teams, people who have a particular relationship with a client. It's very easy to assign these. So if we look at this record here, we just simply link an employee record to the client, indicate the practice that they might be representing in terms of that relationship and the role that they have. And all these are obviously from pick lists. So there's very structured information. So we can see, as well as having a strong relationship based on meetings, that Veronica has also got a dedicated relationship with Stuart. And we'll be seeing a lot of Veronica later on. Just as a slight detour, on this record, we've got our business development information, all the opportunities that we have with HSBC and business plans in place, something else we can talk about on another webinar. We don't have any referrals. That's something else we can look at another time. We've got the client financials, so all the financial data. Not the best demo record to choose here, but we aggregate the financial data from all the various matters, and also then we pull also the matters from your practice management system, Elite or Aderant, or any other, into CRM. So here we've got the details of that matter. Obviously, all the details you'd expect, the practices it relates to, who the primary contacts are, and so forth, open and close dates. I just need to change that screen on there. And crucially, what's really important is we're collecting employee experience. So all the timekeepers on that matter are recorded and pulled across from the practice management system. And there are those that you may choose to create an experience record for. And as well as the timekeepers automatically being pulled with the matters across from your PMS, we can also automatically have the practice, the experience records created as well. We click into that one. We can see it's obviously got the dates that Veronica was involved on that matter, what practice area related to, and some descriptive text here. Now, Brian talked about our use of Copilot, and I don't have it live in this demonstration, but we're using Copilot to write first drafts of experience. So not only can you automatically generate that experience against the employees on a matter, but also can have Copilot write that first draft. So it'll give you something you'll start for 10. So that's a huge benefit and gain for having a fully functioning, deep and broad experience capability. Now we'll look at that now in more detail, that experience. So if I click back through to our main menu, I'm going to want to find the relevant people to put forward to Stuart to represent us for either their bios or in person for meetings to talk about our employment credentials. So if I go to our employee experience tab, this holds all the employee experience records. So I might want to look for somebody who is involved in employment. And somebody who is in the London office. And might want to choose somebody who is a partner. I don't need to do that because it's pulled up 2 experience records with Veronica on that. So clearly Veronica is, a person that we should be thinking about. Now I can go into employee records directly from here, or I can click in from any point where we've got a blue underline there. So that gives me direct access to Veronica's records. So I simply click on Veronica. Now we've found her. Now we know that she's got the right skill set. On her record, these are actually all those experiences that she has. So they're all here sitting on her employee record. We've also got a record of all the client teams that she's a member of. And here we've got, the rest of the details about her, just standard details, name, email and so forth, phone numbers, years of service. The other thing to look at as well is that we can also record people's skills, education as well. So I need to get a bio sorted out for Veronica and various colleagues, and do it very simply using our Legal 360 document management solution. Choose a particular template, apply that, and that will immediately build me, based on that template, a credentials ready record. Now that actually loads that record as an attachment in what we call our timeline. It attaches it to a note. So if I click on that, I can now open that. And here is Veronica's bio, all ready to hand to Stuart with a host of others. So we've got these details from her main employment record. We've got her education and qualifications, which come from that employment record. And we have those experience records with those drafts text already built in. So obviously, the data, the information we have is a little scruffy, but you can see that's pulling through a document which is ready to have a fine-tooth comb run over it. There may be some of the experiences which are not relevant, that might be want to be pulled off and so forth, but it's there and can very quickly be compiled with a handful of other strong candidates that you might want to present as part of the client team. We also carry sort of experience at a practice level rather than an employee level. And we have quite a lot of publishing functionality to deal with that. Again, we can see that on a chart basis. So this is just an example chart which tells me for which practices do we have experience records at what level of publishing authority to actually be used. So that's great if I'm in the experience department managing experience. But I can find them again by searching, as we did before, by practice and so forth. We've seen that filtered search already, so I'm just going to pull up my demo record here. And so this is an experience record. So some of the key things about our experience management approach, one is the cataloging, so you can find and manage those experience records. So we obviously have a name for that, a primary matter to which it's related. It could be related to multiple matters as well. And obviously the primary practice, what it can be used for, any restrictions, and where it is in terms of its overall published authority. And there we have the matter description as well, the text, which is of interest. As I said, you can relate it to multiple matters, which gives you a great way of actually navigating and be able to understand your broader experience from a matter basis, which is very, very important. We've also got as well, we're able to pull through from those matters the relevant lawyer experience as well, which relate to that, and also have additional versions of it. So you may want to require a version in Chinese, for example. So that's the broader matter experience. And again, we might want to record how and where it's being used. Okay, so that completes my demonstration. So really looking at the power to easily analyze your financial data to identify white space, client fee health, and to very easily identify relationships at those target clients that can get you, the introductions or your colleagues' introductions into key people. And then following that up with, credentials, experience that you can quickly get to hand and lay in front of that prospective client. Thank you, Brian. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. So much rich functionality to get into 35 minutes, especially when the guy at the top of the webinar overruns. So thank you very much for that insight. So guys, thank you for your time today. Stay tuned. I'm sure Gemma and the marketing team will be reaching out to you shortly to tell you about the next event and the subject of the next event. If you have any questions coming out of our presentation today, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be delighted to come and see you if you want a deeper dive into Legal 360. But yeah, thanks for your time and looking forward to seeing you on the next event. Thank you.